Hi, welcome back to the Sales Genius Podcast with me, Joe, your host. Today, we're joined by Joe Graham, or Joseph, just so people don't get us confused on the same show here, the host of the 150K podcast, where he helps people take their dreams to six figures and beyond. And let's be real, you need to be above the six figures to afford anything today. So, with over 20 years of sales experience and a track record of winning multiple President's Circle Awards, right? Joe is a seasoned expert in driving sales and building meaningful connections. So, in this episode, Generating Sales and Connections for Business Growth, Joe will share his insights on how to increase your sales, grow your network, and create a business that thrives. So, get ready to learn some game-changing strategies for your business, and let's kick it off.
This podcast is for the sales professionals at every level. If you want to convert more prospects into paying customers, then you're in the right place. Because Joe has spent the last 3 decades mastering buying behaviors, personality types, emotional and logical triggers. This is the Sales Genius Podcast. It's only a numbers game if you want educated. It's time to get educated. Let's go. Educated. Want to learn how to close deals. Want to learn how to sell more. That's what we're here for at Sales Genius. Let's go.
If your head ain't bouncing to that, we don't need you here. That's all I'm going to tell you. Let me bring some VIPs up on the screen. Dan's bouncing his head on purpose just so he can be brought up. Smart man. So fantastic. Welcome to the VIPs. JR, Brian, Jessica, Coach Dan Gordon, Malaysia Harrell, and Andrea Merrill. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let's go ahead and bring up the big cheese, Joseph Graham. Joseph, welcome. We're going to move everybody around a little bit just so we can say, oh, that's perfect. No, we're going to switch. We're going to give you the big seat. So, Joseph, talk to us. So, again, 20 years in sales. Can I ask you a question? I want to ask, what's a President's Circle Award?
That's with Spectrum Enterprise. It's a Fortune 100 company. I won it 4 years in a row. Would have won it 5, but I made a move. It's for the top 4% in the companies. You had to be over quota. I think the years that I won it, I was 152%, 172%, 169, and then 158 because they raised the quota on me again. But almost 1.5 times each time with that for a B2B role.
So you lucked out. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I lucked out.
Right? Lucked into a couple deals and went through. I totally get that.
Yeah, 4 years in a row, just lucked out.
Yes, all luck. Yes, part Irish. So, can you give us like down and dirty little snapshot of the key principles you found that are essential, right, for consistently generating sales? And then I'm going to let you talk. But that was my personal. I want to know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. Key principles. It's not about you. People do not care at all about what you sell, your company, or anything until it affects them, changes their world, or makes it to where they're able to get to their dreams, goals, or pain points. Once I learned that, it was easy. Then it's plug and play. Now I know, hey, I'm not going to talk about me. I'm going to talk about their problems. I'm going to talk to them about what they're going through. And then I built my whole sales process around that so that I'm able to actually fulfill their needs without wasting their time.
That's phenomenal. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you and say, give us some nuggets, give us some magic, give us some stuff before we all start asking questions, because we tend to do that.
No, that's perfect. First, I want to start out like I literally was going to start with that anyway. I had Joe Weldon on my podcast. He is a speaking trainer. And I asked him, hey, tell me about yourself. And he looked at me and goes, no one cares about me. He goes, they only care about how you can help them and how it affects them. So for all of you listening, yes, I have President's Circle Awards. I've talked to CEOs, CFOs. I've talked to grandmas. I started out doing door-to-door sales. I've done the whole gambit. But what I found was this. In sales, if you want to be successful, first and foremost, you make it about your customer. You make it about what they're looking to have happen for them. You find a pain point. So first and foremost, in any sales thing, I talk about cold calling, interrupting them, getting them to understand you need to have them in your life. Well, how do you do that? You don't do that by going and saying, my name is Joe Graham from T-Mobile, or my name is Joe Graham from blah, blah, blah. My product can help you. They could care less. But if you're talking to, like, say, a chief technology officer, to use as an example, and you reach out to them and you go, hey, Joe, this is Joe Graham from T-Mobile. Here's the thing. I know as a chief technology officer, you're dealing with government regulations, you're dealing with bandwidth issues and cyber threats. I wanted to talk with you. Now I'm getting into your world and talking to you about your problems, your pain points, stuff that is affecting you. If you're door knocking, you walk up to him and you see a cute little gnome. I painted that gnome. And you say, hey, dude, I love your gnome. I can connect with you that way. Two distinctly different types of individuals. And I know people on here are in the B2B and B2C. In the B2C world, it's very transactional, it's very quick. You've got to catch their attention, get them to start in a conversation. Where B2B, which is what I played in for years and won all those awards, was based off of building relationships. So I start in with the end in mind. What problem am I solving? I used to sell oil and gas investments to the top 5% in the world. Now, get in mind, you're calling the top 5%, and then only 5% of them will even actually invest in oil and gas, just how that market's set up. I literally would have to call them and call their crap. I literally have to call them and say, hey, Tim, I heard you were able to invest, a good weekend away, $300,000. Can you do that? Why? Because I had to find a pain point or a thing inside of them that would get them excited about what I was doing. Then you might be saying, well, what are you talking about? What I'm talking about is simply this. What is it that's going to move your audience forward towards your product or service? How are you able to help them either solve a problem or help them get to the place where they want what you have? People buy for two reasons: pain or happiness. 95% of the time, you're buying to fix a problem. The other 5% of the time, it's because you have money and you want to spend it on cool stuff. So, first and foremost, understand your persona, understand the person that you're talking with. So, if I talk to a chief, like a CEO, I'm not talking to them about products. I'm going to ask them about their vision for their company. I'm going to ask them about a project that I researched on them so that I can connect with them there. If I'm talking to someone online and I'm selling them a product or a service, I'm going to reach out to them on how it will affect them in their world. That was the first thing I learned. The second thing is the basics, which everyone hates. When you're in a B2B role, when you're in a sales role, when you're in any type of role like this, you have to do certain things that are boring each and every day. I have a quote: success is boring. It's knowing to do the right things over and over with the known results. Most people fail because they don't like to do the boring. They don't like to make the cold calls. They don't like to send out the emails. They don't like to reach out on social media. They don't like to do the content, the reels, the posting, the things you need to do each and every day to be successful, because they think there's some magic pill. They think there's some magic thing that if you just say this one thing, like I saw it on Wolf of Wall Street, he said one thing and it worked. That doesn't work, guys. What works is showing up, treating your customer right, handling their objections, and helping them. So first and foremost, you got to know your customer. Second, you got to find out where are they at in the buying cycle. Because if you got a great product for someone, but they're in contract, they might not be the right person for you then. But hold on, B2B sales is all about relationship. It's all about building the network. There's some deals I worked 3, 4 years on, but it was a $5,000 deal. For the company I worked for at the time, they made 5,000 times 12 months times 5 years. Like, so it's like $300,000, $400,000, like really good money for the company. So a 5-year investment made sense. I had to find out what's their buying signs, what's their time frames, and then guide them down the path to get them to close. I think so many times we get so caught up in the quick hits that we forget you're building relationships. Sales is just building relationships over and over and over again. It's networking, it's meeting needs, and it's helping the customer get the deal across the line. Again, it's not the thing you see on TV where they say the one right thing and it just works. No, there's years you do it. I'm going to tell you a story because all good salespeople are storytellers. I talked to you about the oil and gas investments, right? I was green at the time. So when I mean green, I had just switched from B2C, like business to consumer, to now B2B. So now I'm doing more investments, but just a different thing over the phone instead of face to face. I'm calling these people. I've got a hold of a doctor. I worked on him for probably 3 to 6 months, right, to get him to sign this deal. It was a $5,000 or a $50,000 investment, which gave me 5 grand because I got 10% of the deal in oil wells. Super high risky investment. I was tickled pink because at that time, $5,000 check was great. Now it would be sad with that because I've, upgraded, but at that time, that was great. Literally, we had another one coming up. So I said, hey, by the way, we have another well project coming up. I'm just going to send you the stuff. He's like, cool, I'll check it out. He calls me back the next day and goes, hey, can you talk to me the day after Thanksgiving? I'm like, okay, cool. And I told my wife, we're on vacation. I drove up to Michigan. I wasn't even feeling good. Like I wasn't feeling good because we had drove from Texas to Michigan or Indiana, wherever my sister lived at the time. She'd moved around a lot. And I had to come the day after Thanksgiving. I look at my wife and go, okay, I'm going to go upstairs. It's going to be probably about an hour, hour and a half. I got to go over this prospectus and everything. I literally go upstairs and I start talking to him. And I go, hello, Dr. So-and-so. He goes, hey, I want 2.5 points. I'm like, you want 2.5 points? He goes, yeah, I want 2.5 points. Well, 2.5 points is $250,000. I made $25,000 in a 5-minute conversation. And his only requirement was to see if I would reach out to him the day after Thanksgiving. That right then and there told me that the value of your relationship is way more important than the cost or value. Price is a made up number. We so get caught on dropping our price every time we go to talk to someone, every time we have someone show up. Oh, they give us the first no and they say price. It's never, no, that's just the cover. I don't ever drop my price on the first no. Why would I do that? That's dumb. I have an iPhone. I paid $1,000 for it, right? My wife hates iPhone. She'll pay $1,000 for a Samsung. They're both phones. They both do the right same
Did you
thing.
say your ex-wife
No, my
hates
wife. She's married.
iPhones?
No,
No, I'm just
I've been
saying.
married 23 years. I know she
Yeah,
hates iPhones. Everyone
and you
has their
still let
quirks.
her have an Android? Don't you care about her?
I
Yeah.
did. Here's a funny story. I bought her an iPhone one time because the girl at the store told her the camera would work. Again, value. She had it for 3 days. It was the worst 3 days of my life, of my marriage. I literally went back and said, I don't care what I had to do. I don't care if I pay for the whole phone. I'm going to get her an Android. She wants the Samsung. Get it. I will pay for the iPhone. I'll get it. They shifted it back, but yeah, no. Sometimes you just have to figure out what's the value. But if you think about it, all that is preference. They both function differently. I'm an iPhone user. I have an iPad. I like iPhone. She likes Android. We've been married 23 years. You got to have a little bit of spice in life. It just happened. But thinking about my career in general, once I realized it wasn't price, started looking for the no. I'll start asking for sales during the process to get a no because I want the real conversation. Because another thing, if you guys are running into someone saying yes, 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 yes to everything, it's bullshit. It's it's fluff. They're just trying to get you off the phone because the negotiation
And they
starts
can't say yes
once
to the
you
company
actually
either.
get it. Yeah.
Hey, Joseph.
Yeah.
This is the part where I jump in and ask a question. You talked
Cool.
earlier about leading people down the road of sales, and I'm really curious. Tell us about your road, how you navigate it, and what's on that road.
Sure. I start out by talking to them about their product, their service, what it is they need. I am not your flip chart guy. I am not your show you a model. If I'm putting something up, you're going to have one little thing up there that you can look at if you want to. If you want to watch a video, I'll send you a video later on. I start just talking about them in their world, getting them to picture themselves in the product or service, and then finding out what is it about it that they would like? What is it about it that they don't like? What is it that I can help them with? And what is it that they're maybe just not there yet? I call it closing the doors of doubt. I want to get to the point where it's cost versus value. Because if I have enough value compared to the cost, it doesn't matter. And what I found typically, if you have at least 4 times the value, I like to give people 10 to 20 times because I'm a giver. I want to give them more value than what they think they're paying for it. Um, that's how I get them to that place of making a decision. But here's my caveat. I don't make the decision for them. I don't think it's my job even to make them buy. My job is to give them the information so they can make an educated decision if it makes sense for them. And if it doesn't, I will refer them to someone that I know can help them. Now, in my sales career in the past, I have gotten in trouble for this. I've gotten yelled at. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? But here's the crazy thing. I said, no, wait, watch. 3, 4 months later, I got 4 to 5 referrals because I treated that customer right. Even though it wasn't the right fit for them, it was the right fit for people they knew. And because I didn't try and step on dollars to pick up pennies. I invested in my future, which got me into referral networks, which got me into way more money because, as we know in sales, the hardest thing to do is to get prospects. So that's kind of the. Did that answer your question? I always like to
Yeah,
make sure.
yeah, and that's great. And so, how about this? When when do you stop? I mean, do you stop at the no? Do you stop if they ghost you? What? How does it work for you?
It depends on the person, the product, and the service. So I will literally get to the point where I will ask them, is it a no forever? You just don't like it? Or is it a no, not right now? And then I set up the next step. And then I follow up on that next step because that's the key. A lot of salespeople don't do this. They'll say, oh, I'm going to follow up with you, but they don't follow up on that step. There's
Hmm.
been some deals I've followed, like I said, 2, 3 years. Well, what am I doing on that? I'm not just calling in saying, oh, hey, are you ready to buy it? That would be dumb. That's not going to help. I'm researching, I'm answering questions, I'm looking at industry things and their thing and come back saying, hey, I just seen this new trend. We talked 2 months ago about this. You said to give you a call back. In your industry, this is changing. Is now a good time for you? Like I was doing a deal a little bit ago and I had it all set up. It was for like a cell phone type of deal. I think 323 cell phones or whatever. And then all of a sudden the industry had to shift. And the guy goes, no, we can't do anything until the first of the year. It didn't mean I stopped talking to him. That was in like February. I've talked
Hmm.
to him 4 or 5 times since then. I'm going to talk to him again next January, but I'm doing those touch points over and over again for different reasons. But I also do holiday things or find things out that they like. So if they're a baseball fan, like I'm a Rangers fan. So I'm always 100% sure I'm a Lions fan, I'm a Rangers fan. So I'm loyal, I'm a Lions fan. They've never won the Super Bowl. It's a joke that I always get with people because they know that if you're a Lions fan, you have to be loyal because up until the last couple of years, they were horrible. And I would just find out stuff that they like, or if I know that their kids into baseball or something, I'll find things that I can touch base with them on, so that it's a natural conversation, so that we're building a relationship. Because if you've been in a sales role for more than 2 years, typically you're an expert because everyone bounces around so much. Secondly, if you keep calling and showing up, like I did this with Spectrum at the Fiber, I started out 6, 7 years ago and I called this guy and he goes, nope, I'm happy with, I think it was AT&T at the time. I called him the year later. I'm happy with AT&T at the time. Oh, cool. Is your rep still the same one or do you have a different one? He goes, I've had three so far. I go, oh, that's interesting. I'll be here next year. Like I just put that out and I every few months. And finally he goes, dude, you must be doing something right because you're here. I go, well, yeah, my product works, my service works, my deliverables are there, my price is the best. And I just bring them into my world. Another thing that I do that I just thought about more so than anything is I don't care about titles at all. When I say I don't care about titles, I don't. If I'm talking to a janitor, if I'm talking to CEO, whatever, I'm talking to everyone the same way. It's how I built my network, it's how I built my podcast. It's refreshing to CFOs, CTOs, if you do this right, C-suite people, if you talk to them like we're talking right now, like normal. Like I'm not going in there kissing their ass. I'm going in there like I'm equal. This is my business. I don't even want them to think I'm a sales guy. Most of the time, they think I'm a business owner coming in with a product or service. If this works great for you, great. If not, totally cool. I'm okay with it because my goal is to get you to buy into me because people buy because they like and trust you. And then my fulfillment is the company I'm with. So make sure, because it's my another rule, make sure the company you're with does what they say. Remember, I told you about oil and gas? I was young and green. I thought those wells were getting like producing. They were producing 5 barrels a day. That's bad for oil and gas. I didn't know that. Once I found it out, I left. I literally left a job that was making me really good money, took a job, had to work 2 jobs to get back to a place to where I eventually got into Spectrum and started going back up the ranks. And that was halfway through my sales career. But my persona, my morals, my compass are what guides me. So when I can come in and talk to my client, I can say, you know what, Tim, I'm going to take care of you. You know what, Bill, this is how I would do it if it was my business. And I know my team will follow through with what's going on. And I think that's another key that most people forget because sales has that bad thought process because you had the one bad car salesman or you had that one bad experience with the air conditioner, or maybe you were a IT director and you got the wrong company in to do the internet and it didn't work right and the person took advantage of you. But sales, really, if you do it the Ziegler method and you help as many people as possible, you win. And that's, I think, the other key aspect of it. You want them to like you, to trust you, to overcome all their objections, to let them make an educated decision to move forward, but be indifferent from it. Here's the last thing. No one likes this and it sucks. There's one way you can do this and make it work. You have to be indifferent from each deal you're doing. I'm just giving you information for you to make this decision on. I'm not relying on my family being taken care of that way. How do I do that? I massively prospect. I have such a big pipeline. I don't care if I have 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 no's. Why? Because I have 30 to 40 opportunities. The reason salespeople get frustrated and stuck is because they have 2 to 3 little opportunities and they can't, if they don't sell them, they're going to mess up. And then here's your problem. You get commission breath. They know that you're going to try and get them to buy instead of help them down the process.
I have a question, and it's a little bit more upstream. So you were talking about prospecting and making sure you have a wide prospecting pool, but that also goes into targeting and really understanding their pain points. So in the B2B space, there's public information. You get some general ideas about some problems they may be feeling, but you don't really get the real problems that they're really dealing with. So how do you get into that, I guess you could say, click down level detail into their problems?
By building trust, by starting with the perceived problem. So like when I talked earlier about when I reach out to like this a chief technology officer, I went really high level. If I say government regulations, bandwidth issues, cyber threats, I can get that anywhere. But say I'm working with a company that has fleet and they need trucking and they need to protect their assets and they need to protect and know where their vehicles are. Now I can dig into that persona, the fleet manager, and say, hey, I know most companies in your industry are having these issues. Do you have this? Like, fleet management's a big thing. Your people out in California, they have a new law that just passed because you got to know what's going on. They have a new law that just passed that if it gets to a certain temperature, you had to bring your guys in, or you had to have like a watch or a heart monitor. Knowing the industry, knowing what you're going after, and then digging into it. So if you're in B2B and you have a lot of businesses, it's harder to do. But if you have just certain groups that you hit, like say hospitals, aerospace, whatever, you can go deeper on what they're doing. Now I do this for like what I would call my top 20 accounts. If I was like an account manager in the B2B space and I have like say 300 accounts, if I had 20 big accounts that I really want to get into. And I don't mean they have to be my biggest ones. They're just the ones that I want to get into. I do deeper dives on them so that I'm able to understand where they're at. And then I go deep and wide into the organization. So I don't just hit only the IT director and the fleet person. I might reach out to the marketing company because my company can help this way, or the operations person, because a lot of times sensors and cameras would fall into that if we're talking like in a tech type of space, whereas fleet and assets might fall to the other. So it's just knowing your business, knowing what they're doing, deep diving in it. And you almost want to know if this is your ideal client, know their business better than them. Because when you're talking to them, you can say, yeah, no, I just saw you guys just invested in hospitals being built in Florida. No, I just saw that, and you guys had this article that you guys are actually in a downsize, but you need to save money. Well, maybe this product could help you. Because now it's not, hey, here's my product, here's my stuff. Now it's, hey, I see this need for you. Can I help you with it? Again, going back to that relationship approach, which I think is so missed, because I would ask all of you, if you are getting pitched 9 times out of 10, is it about you or is it about their company or product? And I would say 90% of the time it's about their company or product. When they actually go about and reach out to you, it's refreshing, because now, oh, wait a minute, they care about me. Because again, we will go back to right from the very beginning. People don't care about anything unless it affects them. That's not a bad thing. Our job as sales professionals, our job as business owners, is to solve problems, to make it about them.
Well, normally if it's the same company, I get the same form message on LinkedIn. So sometimes they catch it. It's 8 people all saying the same form letter that cares about me. So I feel like they really do care.
Yeah,
Yes.
no,
They
it
may
it
not
has
have
to be
pasted my
customized.
name in right, but yeah, I get somebody
No.
else's
So
name in the 2, but yeah.
So here's the
Yeah.
difference. There is email marketing where you get that, and it's like an outreach program, and they'll send you it's marketing emails
Yeah.
and stuff. But then if I reached out and said, "Hey Joe, I know that you like X, Y, Z. You're into muscle cars. I don't know, I'm making it up, and you like to
Work.
do that. or then I can go and be more detailed on your page. Like I got a client because he had this little AI tool that was up there. I couldn't get him on email. I tried email. I tried calling him. He had an AI tool on LinkedIn. You know what I did? I went and commented, said, well, what is this about? And then I commented every time he posted it, and I made little jokes on it. And we started developing on that, which turned into a mega deal. Why? Because I got in his world. That's what I'm talking about, being customized. You have to be the one to get them to come to you, because you definitely are representing a business if you're working for someone, or you're representing yourself, but you're selling yourself every day. You're selling the distinction between you. Because like, think of it this way: if you're doing internet, Spectrum Enterprise, Lumen, Comcast, all whoever provides the fibernet, it's boring. It's gonna do the same thing. You know what they buy? They buy the person selling it. They buy the person bringing them the value. They buy the customer service. They buy that I picked up my phone when you called, not, oh, you went to voicemail because I sold you and I can't get anything from you. It's that relationship building approach that has won me those awards, because at the end of the day, people want to be cared about. They want to know that they're your focus when you're fixing that for them.
Got it. Questions? Anything from JR?
Just absorbing it all. It's great. It's 101, doing the same thing over and over, talking to them about them. Gee, what a novel idea.
Yeah, Brian, am I the only one hearing JR in his car doing about 60 miles an hour with the top down?
I think he's about 10 to 15 feet away from the microphone. So,
Okay.
I don't know if he's talking to us from the bathroom or.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Joe,
JR was intentionally decreasing the gain on his microphone because it
That's
normally
right.
pops.
As he
So-
slowly faded away.
Right.
I got a question for you.
What happened?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So how do you do your sales? Are yours mainly over the phone? Are they in person?
All the above.
Over.
With Spectrum, it was all over the phone because of the role it was set up. With T-Mobile, I've done it in person. I've done door to door. I'm really good on the phone. I'm really good at getting past gatekeepers. I'm really good at just doing everything over the phone and not having to go out to it, because I can make it be like, hey, Brian, I can come to your office. It can be a couple weeks if you want, or a couple hours, or we could do this on the phone, virtual meeting real quick. But I've done it multiple ways. Door knocking, events. I've done your conventions, you name it. I've been on the whole gambit. People like time after COVID happened. More and more people enjoy just doing a virtual meeting because you don't have to waste the meet and greet time and do all the extra stuff. But then you have to be a lot better, because here's the crazy caveat. On the phone, you have 4 seconds to get their attention. In person, you get about 20 before the gatekeeper kicks you out. So on the phone, you had to be very precise. That's why when I started out, I didn't talk about me. Even when I left a message or reached out on a phone, my message might be like, hey, Andrea, Joe Graham with Joe Graham Consulting. I just wanted to touch base with you because I know that you have a certain project coming up. I'm making it about you, something that I can effectively help you, not about me, because on the phone, you had to be super quick. I also do video messages. That's something else I don't know if anyone's talked to you about. I will literally, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, if I can get a hold of you, I'll send you a video message so you can see my face, see my emotion, and it changes again because you don't get many of them. You might get a voice recording, but when you actually see someone go, hey, I just want to say something about you, and you're talking about their business and their stuff, it feels weird at first, but guess what? They're so shocked about it. They're not caring how perfect you are. They're just happy that you're caring.
And it sounds
Any
like
other
you've gotten a
questions here?
message from Andrea on that, based on your hey. Yeah, that's how all of our messages start.
I love
So,
that.
I have never met Andrea before that I know of, so this is our first time. So
yes,
we were just thinking alike. But I'll take any messages to help me I can get.
yes. Malaysia, jump in here with your question. And unmute.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Joseph. Thank you. This is really helpful this evening. One of the questions that I have, and I love everything that you're putting out today, but, when there are times like elections and, uncertainty with how things are going to go with the economy, how do we help businesses prep for uncertain times? So I love that you said that, hey, I'll call you back after a certain amount of time. I might look and see what's going on with your organization. But in order to be preemptive with, some of the things that are coming, and sometimes we don't know what's coming, how can we help to make sales, to help them avoid those gaps, especially when they might be thinking about holding on to their coins during uncertain times?
Sure. No, that makes sense. Knowing your group. So I'm going to give you two things. One, with oil and gas, because oil and gas investment leans right, those people are very conservative. We would do stuff like, do you want Hillary to take your money or do you want to invest with me and get 3 to 4 times your money? That's not really the best thing to do, but at the time I was young and green. That's what I was doing. Now I'm like, we know someone's going to get elected. It's really not going to change too much of what you're doing because what is your vision? What is it that you're looking to accomplish? Is this holding off going to keep you from getting to where you need to be? Or is it going to make it better for you to wait? If it's better for you to wait, I will be here. I'm your guy. But if it's not, let's move forward now because it doesn't matter if Kamala or Trump are, it doesn't matter. It's going to change in 4 years again anyway. Are you going to wait 4 years if your person doesn't get in? That doesn't matter. You need to build your business. You
No,
need
I'm
to build
moving
your
out of the
vision.
country and I'll build my
Well, if you
business
move out of the
outside the
country,
country.
great.
Yeah.
I probably have some services I can help you with there because you'll still be doing sales, Joe. So I'll help
Yes,
you in whatever country you're in because
right.
that's how
I
you roll.
love it. I love it.
But that's you just have to. It's the elephant in the room. Sometimes we're so afraid to be wrong, we don't ask the question. My buddy Steve Sims says this, and it's so true. I just ask a stupid question. I will ask a question that just needs to be asked. Well, why are you not doing this? How is that going to affect what you're doing? Unless it's like a certain government regulation that this person's going to change it around. Okay, cool. I understand government regulations. I deal with that. Cool. Outside of that scope, what other things can we get done now? Because tax season is coming up. You're going to have to pay taxes anyway. Did that answer your question?
And I'm impressed that you
Yes,
can
that was
understand
very
anything
helpful.
Steve Sims says. That's
Uh,
impressive.
I, yeah, Steve's a good dude. Like I've learned a lot from
Yeah,
Steve
he just
Sims.
talks
I'm going to
funny.
give him credit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a Brit. It happened.
Yeah,
But I don't know if he's a
it
Brit. He
happens.
was from Britain. I don't know.
Thank
So
Perfect.
I want
you.
to ask a question because I feel like it goes really well with that. So we talked about objections, but I really want to know, how do you identify whether an objection is a real concern or just a smokescreen? And what questions do you use to uncover that true resilience?
Mhm. Again, depending on what I'm doing, a lot of times I'll literally repeat the question back to them because I want them to hear what they said to make sure that's true. So they might say, "What's the price?" I'm like, "Okay, it's the price. I get that everything's price. I understand. What else with this project going forward would you need if price was irrelevant?" So I acknowledge what they were saying, but I want to know, well, what else is there around there? Because everyone says price, and I can make a joke on that. Or if it's I need more time to think. I understand we all need time to think. Is there anyone else in your organization that we need to have a meeting on? Because I don't want you to have to tell my story. Let me do that for you. We can hop on a call with them, and then that way we can guide them through the process, and I don't put that pressure on you. What I did there was two simple things. One, I said, you want to talk to someone else? That's cool. Let me into that world, but I did it in a way where I'm helping you, not telling you, because there's also another little trick here that some people might know and some people might not know. Women like to be asked, men like to be told. I know that sounds funny, but in a lot of ways, it's just how it is. If I'm talking to an alpha male and I ask him, he's going to look at me like, what are you doing, dude? Like CEO, typical types. But if I'm talking to an alpha female or like a head female, like leader, I still ask. There's still the little nuances that you have to have in it because of how society's set up. But if I'm talking to someone and she's very much in her masculine and she wants me to treat her like a dude, I'll do that too. It's reading the room, knowing where they're at, and knowing your people. And then like we can even go into the deeper part of like the different decision makers you have. You have like the C-suite that are very just quick and to the point. Then you have your people that want all the details. Then you have your people that just want to talk and feel loved and appreciated. And then you have your people that just maybe have one or two little things that they need answered. So going through each organization, you have to figure out, what group am I talking to? What do they need? Because like if I'm doing a demo for someone like on a project when I was in B2B, if I'm with the engineers, compliance and all, we're doing a super deep, detailed demo. But if I have the board of directors, I'm doing a super high level. It will save you this amount of money. It will do this. Knowing your audience, repeating back, and I know I went on a little tangent there, Andrea, sorry. Repeating back to them what they have asked, because sometimes they hear the question, go, wait a minute, that's just a smoke screen. And a lot of times they'll tell you what the real one is after it.
And remember, everybody in a company is allowed to say no. There's only very few, right? Because I deal business to business. And when you go in there, there's very few that can say yes. But even receptionists feel they can say no to vendors, right? And you call in and go, oh, well, I do this and I wanted to talk to him. We're like, yeah, he doesn't need it. And you're like, what? How do you know what he needs, what he doesn't need? Right. And so just remember that, because I did one demo where I talked to the VP who said, okay, come back, talk with the CEO and all of our management. And they put 15 people in the room around the table. Right. There's only one person I'm talking to, which is the CEO. Right. Like Joseph said, that's the person who's going to make the decision. And when I put up one slide that just had one thing on it, he goes, I wish it was that. Right. And then I looked around the table and I flat out called it. I said, anybody want to disagree with the CEO whether or not you need it? And they all stopped and were like, no. And I'm like, okay, so then we'll just continue on. And I'll just, I just assumed the close at that point because he started it on slide number 2 that it was done. But everybody else at that table would have wanted to think about it, or would have been the one saying, oh, maybe we should look at other vendors. We should do something else. They can always say no.
Yeah. And it's always knowing the areas, knowing your people, knowing your personas. And then also, I like to do this when I'm in B2B. I will stop in to the receptionist and I'll bring a bundt cake, or I'll bring something that maybe they would like, he or she. And I'm like, hey, this is for the boss, but if you want to keep it, you can keep it. And they normally will laugh because they know I really brought it for them. But I wanted it to look like I was trying to stop in there and they're going to help me. And sometimes they'll go and help me because I make them my allies. You want to have allies inside each and every organization of what you're doing. So that way, because sometimes depending on the business size, you can't get to the C-suite until the very end. So you got to have allies and people moving it up as it goes as well. But yeah, Joe, I agree. Once you get the right decision makers, they're the ones that say yes. And those are the ones you have to keep, but you got to make sure you don't have someone way over here that really isn't even involved, but they just don't like something in it, shut you down.
Right. Do you put a nail file in the bundt cake and tell her to help her get out? Because she's
No, I've
trapped?
not done that
No?
yet. I've
Okay.
not done that yet. No, I
All
just
right.
take the bundt cakes in, or cookies, or do dinners or lunch and learns, anything to get attention, because that's the other thing. You just got to have enough attention. People need to understand that you do what you do all the time consistently, and that you're the right person for the deal. And that takes time. That's branding. That's showing up every day. I did a live on Facebook about it. I'm like, you think you're telling people enough about your product or service? They don't even know you do it. That's the
Right.
problem I think most people don't catch. They don't realize that you almost have to go to the point where you feel you're annoying. In reality, they're just now going, oh, wait, Joe does that? I didn't know Joe did sales coaching. I didn't know Brian did that. Like, they just don't always catch it because of everything flowing through the world.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Eh,
Because Joe actually
Oh.
is annoying, but we want him to keep
Right.
going.
Right.
I'm not everybody's cake. Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla,
Oh,
some people
sorry, the other
like
Joe.
cheese.
I actually like you.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Right.
meant me.
Yes.
I just rebutted it right away. I'm like, I'm just not everyone's cake. I don't care.
Oh, he was defending me. I loved it. Yeah. I didn't even have to defend myself. Yes. So that's good. All right. Any final questions from anybody that's out
What
there?
do you do?
Because we need to get it.
Joseph, what do you do to stay interesting?
Learn
You're
magic.
gonna laugh.
Dan, I told you this before.
I'm myself. I've learned to be comfortable in my own skin. But that means also I do my own modality. So I walk every day, I meditate, I will pray, I will read, I'll do certain things to get myself filled up, listen to podcasts, listen to books. But I've learned that I hate trying to be someone else. So I'm just consistently myself, coming in, writing things up, putting stuff up. You may see some random pug pictures because we have 5 pugs and a black lab. Yes, we have too many dogs. I know it's crazy, but we like them. So to stay interesting, I think you just have to be authentic and generally you, because you have unique different things about how you do it. I do sales a little bit differently than Joe would do sales, or Brian or Andrea or anyone on this panel does it, and that's that unique flavor or sauce. And then get out there and be uncomfortable. I make myself do uncomfortable things on purpose. I've done tons of reels, tons of videos now, but in the beginning, I was like, this is stupid. I sound dumb. And then I get someone say, I love this. You're doing great. You changed my life. I'm like, that was the stupidest reel I've ever done in my life, but I changed your life. Okay, cool. And I just kept going and going and growing and becoming the person I needed to be.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are we good? Sales
Can I-
Genius VIPs. I'm going to go move us over to here. Boom. Look at that. Now we're all equals. So Joseph doesn't get a big head thinking it's all his show now. But so, okay, I'm going to throw out there, guys. Success is boring, right? I got that out of this one because why? You got to do the basics over and over again until you get the results you want, right? What I put in the comments for all of us was price is made up, right? It's a number that's made up. So why are you trying to drop the price on something that's really not assigned any value other than what you or the company that's selling it is done? So understand that, absorb it, take it. Joseph's going to tell you to go be in relationships. You know, that's opposite of me, right? I'm the result guy and the relationship comes later. He's building the relationship up front that comes back. I am not. Okay, Joseph, I'm going to tell you right now, I am not waiting from February to the next January and popping in with these people, right? That is definitely a gift that you have, right? I'm setting a to do for January, okay, that comes up. And so, but again, I also will say that's why you have a huge pipeline. That's why you don't have to feel the pain, right? That's there because if you don't have a huge pipeline, then every piece becomes make or break your bank. And so that's where we got to look at it. But I thank you so much for coming on, VIPs. I thank you. Joseph, you're okay if we do introductions for other shows?
Oh, yeah, please do. Please do.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We got people here with shows. So that's what we're saying. Dan might be one of them as he points to himself. I don't know if you guys saw that, but yes.
Yeah, I
Andrea's
would love to come
pointing.
on every show possible. I
Yeah,
have one too. I'll do it back. Like I've dropped 200 episodes on mine. We can switch.
that's fantastic. So everybody stay on the screen as I say, everybody else that's listening, watching, whatever you're doing, go out and sell something.